Hi, I'm Roscoe, and welcome to Used EV Marketplace. It's a tough week out there this week, and well, normally we've got an action-packed show for you tonight, but things are a bit tough around the world just at the moment. And well, while we'll be dealing with all our usual deals, data, and discovery tonight, just want to reflect a bit about what's going on around the world. It's tough for anyone out there at the moment. We feel you, and just a little bit closer to home at the moment. Some of you may have heard of an incident in Sydney town in the last 48 hours, 24 hours in Potts Point in Sydney. There was a home invasion. There was a couple of people injured. Someone else was, the police took care of a problem in that regard. But that was in our neighbourhood. That was right near where we live. And our heart goes out to those couple that were injured. We know them. They're our neighbours. They're our friends. And look, fortunately, we've got a big show tonight. We're carrying on regardless. We've got Chris Vanderstock here, who's hopefully going to entertain us. Some of you may know Chris as a YouTuber, car reviewer, EV advocate, and just passionate EV owner about all things EVs over the last 5 or 6 years. We really appreciate it to chat about his ownership experiences with a couple of EVs. Looking forward to that. And of course, I'd love to hear a bit more detail about that High Court win again. I can't stop hearing about that. It's our castle moment, if you like, that movie, The Castle, where, well, let's hear from Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hey,
How you doing, Chris? Good to see you, and thanks for joining us. Really appreciate your time, and we're going to get straight into it and without the intros. And hey, tell us, what was your big EV aha moment? What got you into all this in the first place?
Look, for me, I guess it was I used to watch Zach and Jesse on Now You Know
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Been a big fan of theirs for years, and I used to participate behind the scenes in helping them collate news stories and so
Is that
forth.
right?
And I think probably it started back in 2016 when the Tesla Model 3 was first announced, or maybe even launched in America. I think I'm wrong about that. I think it's 2017 for America. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's an affordable electric vehicle, which, I knew full well the exchange rate was going to cost more than what the Americans could get it for, but I was excited. And so I started learning everything about what, Tesla does, but also what electric vehicles are and what options do you have. And
Yeah.
after doing the stuff with the Now You Know guys for a while, I thought to myself, you know what? There's no one in Australia actually covering this, and
Yeah.
I want to cover that. So I started back in, I think, 2018, 2019, doing my own content
Mm.
because I've been on YouTube for years, and it used to
Yeah.
be my family videos and technology that will come to my house sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, this is interesting. I'll review it.
Yeah.
I like tech, and it's just sort of grown from there, and things happened.
Well, look, that a lot of people come from the tech space, and yeah, myself included. I just got to the stage where it just didn't make sense to be driving. From everything else is electric. Everything else, from an audio visual perspective, was electric, and it just made no sense that the car was petrol. And I just had decided, woke up and decided the next car had to be an EV. It was as simple as that. And
Wow.
I came from a Volkswagen line, so I was waiting for that Volkswagen. It was in my sights, and maybe it's still a long way off. What was your first EV? Mm.
Mine was a MG ZS EV back
Yeah.
in 2020. Quite a reasonably priced car for its
Yeah.
time. It was at that moment the cheapest you could get in Australia. It was about 39,000 drive away.
Is that right?
We got an X demo model, so we paid a bit
Yeah.
less than that. So I felt that we've got a great deal.
Yeah.
Appreciating the fact that it's a small battery though, so
Yeah.
it's only like a 44 kilowatt hour sort of
Yeah.
battery. NMC, its battery management system, sure, it's thermally cooled, liquid
Yeah.
cooled, better said. But there's no, I can't sit inside the car,
Yeah.
go to 80%, which is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to nanny it a bit.
You've still got that one. We'll dig into that a bit later on. Let's
Mm.
go into, because I watched. I went back and did some research and watched some of your videos about the pluses
Mm.
and minuses of ownership. And interesting. And we'll compare and contrast, because then you got something else as well, right? Mm.
Yep. So I've got a Tesla Model Y,
Yeah,
2022 model, like what you said, your one,
yeah.
with the hard suspension.
I've been down rabbit holes on Tesla suspension since I've found out that some bushes and suspension components need to be replaced. I've been down rabbit
Mm,
holes about how to fix these problems. Like, go down them if you want to, because there's a myriad
yeah.
of solutions. But I don't want. I'm not sure if I'm going to throw too much more money on what was a very cheap solution in the first place. But yeah,
Mhm.
we're agreed on that. But
Yeah, exactly. Well, like this last year, like in 25, we hit a bit over 65,000 kilometers. So
yeah,
we still haven't reached the warranty yet, but
yeah,
this year it will, obviously.
yeah,
So I'll definitely be getting an inspection where you got to
yeah,
pay a bit of money for Tesla to
yeah.
do a thorough inspection. Because yeah, I'm aware of those issues.
Yeah. We'll come, as you're saying, we'll come back to that and dig bit deeper down into
Mm,
what you've done and what it's been like owning the two, because it's an interesting comparison. And then later on, I would like to investigate some of the other lots of cars that you've driven. Again, check out
mm.
Chris's YouTube channel, his main one for cars. You've got the other one for tech as well,
But yeah,
and
for family,
family. But
yeah, family.
yeah, the car. Let's stick with the car one for now.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, you've driven some things that lots of other people don't drive as well. And so
Mm,
that's really interesting. Again, if anyone wants to see something that Chris should drive or wants to drive, let us know in the messages, because yeah, not everyone's covering it apart from the press release. What's coming out in the press releases, right? So,
mhm,
but let's just go back in time, because again, I get a lot of people know you or may not know you for something pretty famous, and that was the High Court case against Victoria. And
mm,
I've spoiled it by putting up the result, putting up the result there, but that's pretty well known now. But can you take us back to how the
mm.
heck did you get involved with this?
Yeah. Well, basically, I used to do a lot of electric vehicle news and so forth, and
Yeah,
the premise for that was I too was thinking about we should be doing better by our kids and the
yeah,
environment and our communities and
yeah,
improving the health and well-being of everybody,
yeah,
and vehicles are part of that solution. And Tim Palace comes along. He thinks he's well, there's a minority out there, two,
yeah,
three population are buying these electric vehicles.
yeah,
By his rationale, we're not paying for our fair use of roads,
yeah,
even though car rego is actually a federal. I mean, sorry, not a federal. Fuel excise is a federal tax,
yeah.
and actually, fuel excise doesn't pay for roads. So we'll have
No,
that
no,
conversation
it
later.
goes into general revenue, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
If you
exactly.
want
Yeah.
to dig a bit deeper into that, that's another
Exactly.
story, isn't
Yeah, I
it?
know, and and we can argue that till cars come home because
Yeah,
um, uh, I was really incensed and really quite angry that this person was actually literally putting the brakes on
mm,
something that this evolution that is electric vehicles, and they can decarbonize it. I fill my car frequently with just solar or
exactly,
battery,
exactly.
and I don't need to draw any coal from the grid, no
Mm,
gas from the grid. And that those two cars out there, their carbon footprint is getting better
yeah,
day by day, which is something you can't say for petrol or diesel cars. And I knew Kath through the Australian Electric Vehicle
mm.
Association, and
That's
you
Kat
know,
there. I'm sorry,
yeah,
I don't know her, and I've not done enough research on your
mhm.
co plaintiff. Yeah,
Yeah, co-plaintiff, yeah, exactly. And so Kath and I were kind of like, what can be done about this? And
yeah,
we've all got some friends, and the
yeah,
legal advice was, well, you can't do it for the environmental aspect, but you can do it for the federal tax law
yeah,
perspective. So we challenged on that ground,
mm,
where we said it was unconstitutional for the
yeah,
Victorian government to be levying basically a tax on a consumption of a vehicle. So that's something that only the federal government can do and not states.
yeah.
And
I
there's been previous
see. I
precedents in
see.
time
Mm,
whereby there was a lot of cited law. Well, I actually attended the hearings in Canberra when we had our hearings on, and there was a lot of cited law that there's been previous high court decisions, and there's a final decision. So this is the highest court in Australia. So there's
yeah,
no appeal. You can lose if you lose in the high court. That's it. It's law. It's law,
yeah,
and so no pressure now. And so um, There was a case in Tasmania and New South Wales
Mm.
whereby those state governments were trying to actually, get people to pay for, I think it was tobacco,
Yeah.
on a state tax and on videotape rentals or something
Yeah.
like that. It was quite ridiculous, and and so our lawyers and our barristers,
Mm.
they successfully argued, and that was the best day ever,
Yeah.
that what Victoria is doing here is essentially an excise, and that
Yeah.
is only something that the federal government can do. So for us, the conversation, my belief was that we need to be encouraging people into electric vehicles and not disincentivizing
Yeah.
them by making it cost more. And so it was successful, which was really
Yeah.
awesome.
How long did that all take, right?
Oh,
And
ages,
yeah,
ages. I think basically it was like end of 2021
that order
when
was
we
dated.
lodged
Yeah.
it, and then it was
Oh, yeah.
a good year and a half before the
Yeah.
hearing. A lot of going backwards and forwards with the lawyers and the Victorian state government,
Mm.
putting the case together. And
Yeah.
like the MG's at SEV is actually part of that document there.
Yeah.
So part of the evidence brief is actually my MG out there, which is fascinating. And so during
That's
that, you're right,
it's
you
got to
go.
be worth more money on the used market. It's part of evidence of a major court case. It's got
Oh,
to
that
go
would be
put in
awesome.
the powerhouse museum. Mm.
I'm thinking of upgrading to a new secondhand car. I don't want to
Yeah.
buy a new car. I'm done with that. Um, but you're right. I think maybe there's something in there. That'd be good.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with the question too. And I bet you were as well. I'm going to ask you how did you finance it? I'm thrilled with the question. The answer to the question
Mm,
too: who should pay the costs of proceedings? There's
yes.
the defendant, which is the Victorian government in this case. So,
Hmm. Yes.
how did you finance it? Can you tell me that more
Yeah,
about that? Or
sure. So we had to pay for the lodgement fees and our initial work with the lawyers and the
yeah,
barristers, and so that was substantial. So we put together a crowdfunding sort of campaign,
yeah, okay,
and
yeah,
with thanks to like hundreds
yeah.
of
Oh,
Australians,
brilliant! Absolutely brilliant.
not just from Victoria but from around Australia and
Yeah,
even overseas. We even had people from overseas donating. We able to raise a bit over $50,000, which didn't pay for all the court
yeah,
costs, but then the lawyers all agreed to defer until actually the outcome. So if
that's
it
good.
didn't go
Yeah.
our way, we would have gone back to market and we would have said, "Please help us out."
It's
Um,
harder. It gets harder to raise money when you've lost. When you've lost, it's not.
Right. Exactly. And I don't think I'm saying anything wrong or that shouldn't be disclosed here. Is that the lawyers did say, look, if it doesn't go our way, the Victorian government will be kind of thinking, well, it's Chris Vanderstock and it's Kath, and there's everyday individuals, and Chris is a nurse, and Kath is
Yeah.
an engineer. I don't think we should go after the little guys.
No,
So
exactly. Yeah,
that was kind of the thinking there, but thankfully it did
yeah.
work out.
You
But
can
can I
you can
say, but
play the
between
you can play the big boy tactics up front, but yeah, when it comes if the decision goes the other way, then you can
mm,
back down again,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But the interesting thing here, and this is why many people donated, was that this actually had a national impact
Yeah,
because New South Wales, Western Australian government, I believe even for one heartbeat, Tasmania were
yeah,
proposing similar legislation and a tax for
yeah.
them, and so we all the other states and territories jumped on board Victoria and supported them
Mm.
as potentially, co-defendants. I think it's the
Yeah,
term. We're the plaintiffs, right? Yeah, they're defendants. And so they all came and they also represented in the High Court, arguing their case to actually be able to have this ability. And between the actual hearing, well, before the hearing even occurred, the Victorian Ombudsman for Complaints put together a recommendation, a paper about 30, 40 pages with about 110 issues with the actual taxing, noting
yeah,
that people have been deregistered without being notified,
yeah,
that people who are overseas who cannot do an odometer reading
yeah.
cannot actually do this, that obviously people who are driving interstate are paying money back to Victoria, supposedly for Victorian roads, but even though
Yeah,
they're driving interstate. And
yeah.
where
So
does private public use actually start and stop? And if you go on a toll road, is that actually considered a private road or is that actually a public
yeah.
road?
Oh no, it was brilliant. So
Mm.
by the end, and look, to cut it down simplistically, I guess the tax was a per kilometre tax. Don't worry, we won't
Mhm.
worry about the cents or how many, but it was a
Yeah.
per kilometre tax for Victorian registered EVs, right? No matter
Yep.
what they did, where they went, you had to pay to drive it, and you're supposed to keep a log of it and pay the government. And you did actually pay money, right? Yeah,
Yep. Yep. I paid close to $1,000 during the period that I was
yeah.
actually being taxed, and I think it was well put by one of the lawyers saying that this is actually effectively. In fact, no, it was one of the High Court judges who said
Mm.
this, and she listened to the argument by Victoria and challenged the barrister and said, "So wait, you are actually telling me that you are tolling for every single kilometer that that person drives their vehicle?" So
Yeah,
every road that you drive on, every private driveway,
yeah.
everything is actually toll. And so, and then she goes, "Does that not seem like an excise to you?"
Yeah,
And we were watching very closely how they were all sort of talking and
yeah,
asking questions and looking at their own little books of law and so forth. And we felt that we were pretty confident with 4 out of
yeah,
the 7, but we were unsure of the other 3. And all we just needed was a majority, and then we
yeah.
got it.
So you won 4-3, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's all you need is a majority to win in the High Court.
Mhm.
Do you watch them film the castle and feel like it's your castle moment? Someone's going to come and make.
Not really.
I think it's
I like the merits of the castle, and yeah, I don't like the idea of living that close to an airport, to be honest.
yeah, I know that it's
But yeah, I like to think that we've done something to help at
yeah,
least get people into electric vehicles and encourage them to a better form of transport. Because I mean, let's face it, right now
yeah,
with the Middle East conflict that's occurring, the volatile prices of
yeah,
petrol and diesel. We import 40% of our petroleum from that
yeah,
region, and prices have gone through the roof. And about what 70%
mm,
of people can actually charge at home and or from a wall plug
yeah.
somehow, and just get yourself an electric vehicle plan and fill up for $3-4.
Exactly, I know it's brilliant, and I know, and we're not being smug, but it
Mm,
is fantastic to know that yeah we don't have to go and queue up at a petrol station, and we don't have to pay
yeah.
double the price suddenly
Mhm.
for petrol.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I'm not going to be smug about it, but
Mm,
I'm quietly happy that
mhm,
it's, that we made that choice, and I feel the same way. In quiet moments, I'm
mm,
thrilled that I'm just using electricity, which
yeah,
is fundamentally renewable, and as far as I know, there's no limit to the amount that we can make at all. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and so interesting the way the arguments keep folding out. But I
Mm,
know that was the I think it's brilliant. Again, I know you've told the story many times. I just really it's fantastic. Wanted to hear it again, and because
mm,
yeah, some of the details are just brilliant, and the outcomes just extraordinary. So again, yeah,
mm.
I think the important part also it was about to set some precedents for other states as well. Yeah, which made
Yeah.
them all turn around and go back to the drawing board as well. Yeah,
Mhm. Yep, exactly. And, so sadly, the federal government has talked up a few different times, but seemed to go nowhere with it
yeah,
around introducing something at a federal level. And look, I'm not against, a tax that actually would help with,
yeah,
actually building roads or electric vehicle
yeah,
infrastructure or improving road safety.
yeah,
But if they do something like this, they need to do it for all cars out there.
yeah,
So think of it as a disincentive. So if you've still got a petrol and diesel car right now, you're going to be still paying your fuel excise,
yeah.
and then you still got to pay some sort of extra rego fee, which realistically probably should just be a flat fee, in my opinion,
I
based
agree.
upon the weight of a vehicle. So that if you go for the dirty, great big 3-ton Ram Dodge,
Yes.
disgusting
I'm
vehicle,
with you. I'm with you. Keep going. It's okay. I'm
yeah,
with you.
yeah, they should be the ones paying for the roads. The trucks do the most damage. It's exponential. It's not a linear thing. And so the
Yeah,
ones who actually, and that's the ironic thing too, by the way. I like this fact that last time I looked into the actual revenue versus the monies that go in for fuel excise, the
yeah,
majority of it actually goes back to the ones who do the most damage to our roads,
yeah,
trucks,
yeah,
and the ones who actually
yeah,
burn the dirtiest and the most fuel
yeah,
ever, and that is commercial industry. So they get
yeah,
fuel rebates. So
Yes.
the government only
Yeah,
gets about $6 billion per year,
I
which
know.
surprisingly they spend on healthcare related
Yeah.
to dirty exhaust. So guess
I'm with
what?
you. I'm with you. It's a very conflicting set of
Mm,
legislation across the board. So,
yeah.
any argument put up, as you know now,
Mm,
about taxing EVs for because they aren't picking up road use charges and other ways, or they
mm,
need to make it more balanced. Yeah, it needs a full investigation and examination of the whole of the structure of everything else that's in place at the
yeah.
same time. It
Yeah.
cannot. Yeah, it's not another independent. Yeah, but
Mm.
hey, look, we could. I know we could go on and talk about, but
Yeah.
congratulations on that again.
Thank you.
I think it's something as far as doing something in your whole life, that's got a rate up there for me. It would anyway, is
Mm,
in terms of
yeah. I've
just,
been meaning to print out the whole document and then,
yeah.
bind it and, frame it, 'cause, maybe for the next 50 years, I'll be arguing my name in the High Court. It'll be
Well,
hilarious.
look, I mean, whether it's yourself or I think there's a story there about putting it, like a 1 or 2 hour story about the whole bringing the whole thing together somewhere,
Mm,
somehow. I reckon in the annals of Australian EV history, I think there's a 1 or 2 hour documentary there somewhere, somehow.
mm.
I reckon. So I hope that gets made one day. But hey, back to your cars now. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you bought the MG, yeah, look, I mean, and again, I wasn't even in the picture at this stage when this court case took place. I am a Johnny cunt lately. We've
Mm,
only I started looking mid 22, I think. Polestar at '03, Tesla Model 3, Tesla Model Y,
mhm,
just about to come out. MG, I'd seen ZF's EVs. I think it was an Ionic, the original Ionic, half a
mhm,
dozen plus the Leaf, of course, and the IMEV. But so whatever,
mm.
count them on two hands by that stage, right?
Yep.
Did you did you get into the MG because you needed to have something at that stage, and that was the best option available? Mm,
It was the most affordable option at the
yeah,
time,
yeah,
and so, now, like, what we've got Aura, and there's
yeah,
plenty of things out there. Atto One, oh my
yeah,
gosh, there's so many great cars that are around the high 20s, low 30s,
yeah.
brand new, because this
Here's
is the
here's
thing. Yeah,
here's you way back in the day. Look with your the MG.
I'm a baby.
there's funky.
With still no hair, still no hair.
there's funky Chris.
Yeah, yeah, so that's my
He's
car.
funky Chris with the MG owner for the first time. Has got a different look to MG
Yeah,
to model Tesla Model Y Chris. But
yeah,
that's
exactly.
we're talking what 2020 here. I mean, it's not. I know it's not long ago. This is the one where you covered all the positives and negatives, and
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm curious about the choices. Again, it was a trade off, and I interrupted you. My apologies, and
Mm,
about what was available then. And
yeah.
but did you?
I
I
mean,
felt like I just had to have one, right? And
okay.
we're lucky. I think I had a few more choices. I could have gone a Polestar 2. I could have gone an Arrow 3. I think. Um, I pushed and waited a bit longer for the Model Y, just at the end of 22.
Righto.
So,
Yeah. I think
but back
for
in
us,
20, yeah,
I
back in
missed the
20,
opportunity with the Model 3, and, when we were in 2022, we still had, at that time, Kia Carnival, Grand
yeah,
Carnival, and, the older kids weren't traveling with us very much at all, and
yeah,
we thought, "You know what? We really enjoyed the electric experience." We used that mostly,
yeah,
and, we hated filling up at the Bowser, and it came with some ridiculous repair bill one time. It needed new disc brakes, and it
yeah,
needed something done to its steering, and the repair bill was $1,600, and this
yeah,
is back in 2022,
yeah.
which I don't know, it's 2 grand now.
Oh
Make
yeah,
it
yeah.
up. And we just thought, "You know what? Let's just get into the, Tesla Model Y."
Mm,
Because, I myself, I prefer higher cars like an SUV. The Model
yeah,
3 and the Polestar 2 a bit low for my liking. Been a big fan of the Ioniq 5 for many a year, but the
yeah,
MCU issue has always been, well, an issue.
yeah. They're up there. They're up there.
Mm, yeah.
So this one was 2020, and again, you kept it again. Just have it as a second car or as a family car for the kids are the kids learning or they driving
Uh,
at this?
they've learnt in the MG.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
The insurance excess by putting them onto the Model Y is just not too much. Maybe it's just our insurer, because let's face it, every year we find in these days we'd have to keep changing our insurer. It's
yeah.
ridiculous. You make no claims, and yet they still actually do
Yeah,
that. So there
I
you
know.
go.
Well, so a few interesting factors here about car ownership. Yeah,
Mm,
I'm insurance shopping all the time as well because they're just putting
mm,
it up in a ridiculous amount for no particular reason. So, and yet
yeah,
amazingly, you can seem to get a better deal somewhere else. So
absolutely.
I'm going through the same thing. Anybody out there? I'm
Mm.
insurance shopping every year, every year as well.
Exactly, and the thing too is that most, well, not most, but some are underwritten by the same company,
Yeah,
and it's kinda like, how come if I go with
yeah,
this one versus that one, it's actually the same underwriter, but
yeah,
this one's another $800? It's ridiculous. And the thing is, what's the expression? Laziness, the lazy person tax. If you don't shop around, they'll just hike it up. So you
yeah.
gotta keep moving.
Again, yeah, big for any used owner. Keep shopping for insurance.
Mm,
Don't get too upset about it. Just keep shopping. Spend some time.
mhm,
Save some money.
yep,
Seems to be part of the process now.
yeah,
Take the money you've saved on the discs and the pads. Upgrade
mhm,
to 2 grand. You've spent 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand over 100,000 k's,
mhm,
and just spend it on insurance.
yeah,
Um, we had a Kia Carnival for our wedding car, and I drove it around New Zealand for a while in
okay,
2019. So yeah, a lot of fun. But on that, why isn't there just a Kia Carnival precisely the same size, precisely the same
mm.
cost?
Oh, that's the, Kia EV9, which costs like
Yeah,
$130,000.
yeah, I know. And
It's ridiculous.
this is a no-brainer. It's like Toyota walking out of the Tarago market and giving it to Kia.
Mm,
The Kia Carnival became the default seven-seater.
mm,
If there's not a gaping hole for that market for a seven or $80,000 car exactly like that,
mm.
I, I don't know. We're not in charge of product planning, but it,
Yes. They're all really expensive because I'm just thinking about it right now.
yeah,
I think there was a recent announcement of the, longer extended wheelbase
yeah,
Model Y. Cadillac are doing the successor to the Lyriq, or the bigger versions of the
yeah,
Lyriq, with a third
mm,
row. Mercedes, they do a third row.
yeah.
Kia, they're all expensive cars, for goodness
I
sake.
know. I know. It's just as much as there's been demand for that small car. This is exactly where families need to be in that three
Mm.
rows. I don't, talk about product planning and talk about bleeding obvious.
Yeah, right. And yeah, and I haven't been in, but I know people who have been
Yeah,
in a third row Tesla Model Y, and unless you're a kid and you're happy
mm,
doing that next to the glass, you
I know.
it's not a good experience.
There's a few years later. There's Tesla Model Y, Chris, who's changed. But look, yeah. Again, did you was it a natural choice for you to buy a Y at that stage, or were you still
Yeah,
toying with some
yeah.
other things?
Yeah, definitely, 'cause, I know a lot of people have got Teslas and they really enjoy the
Yeah,
experience, and it does make for an easy ownership experience.
yeah,
And, between, the prices, it was very competitive compared to the offerings of Kia and Hyundai because,
yeah,
to be honest, my favorite car still is really the Ioniq 5.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and,
I love that car too.
yeah,
It was Lancia Integrale. Look, shadow for me from the first day. So when they made the 5N, it was just unbelievable. Yeah,
right, exactly. A good-looking vehicle
yeah,
indeed, and handles beautifully, well-equipped. Just the price tag was, I think, an
yeah,
easy 10 grand above what Tesla was asking, and in fact,
yeah,
even more. And when we purchased in 2022, the Model Y was like, what, 76,000 for the,
yeah,
standard range? Very expensive compared to now.
yeah,
And, that was a bit of a stretch for us, and,
yeah,
I was just like, "Well, I would like to go for the Ioniq, but we can't afford that, so we'll just do Tesla because, it's
yeah,
an easy experience."
yeah. And there's a plug. Have a look on the website. I've got an Ioniq 5, 3 years old, for less than 40 now. Done about 25,000 k's. Right. It's
Mm,
just
that's not a lot.
it's brand spanking new, basically.
Yeah, just
Um,
been broken in.
it's just literally brand new in in the EV world. It's
Yeah,
going to be completely different. But yeah, I felt the same thing about Tesla. My Mrs. Amazing loved the simplicity of it compared to. I like the Polestar too. Just felt more. I'd come out of a VW and it felt just going into another European car. But then I realised I wanted a complete change as well. And
mm,
I know that hasn't been for everybody, but I've
yeah,
really enjoyed the experience of having the simplicity of it, and having that really stark difference, which is what I liked. And
yeah.
I've
I
been
gotta
in it.
say, I enjoyed the Polestar too, but what I enjoyed more in the last year was the Polestar 4, but
Yeah, you like that. Yeah.
oh, so
How did?
good. So good.
there's been a couple of those on the used market already, and yeah,
Mm.
coming on and just had a couple of people selling them because of that rear window. And I don't know how was that in the short, over a short
I
time.
didn't mind it myself, but
Yeah,
I can understand why it would disturb some people.
yeah,
Uh, People note the vision change that you have to do when you're
yeah,
going from infinity to actual focusing on something,
yeah,
that's artificial. Look, I didn't mind it myself, and
yeah,
just the whole ride quality, the build quality,
yeah,
it was a beautiful success, to a Tesla Model S, and you can't buy that
yeah,
in Australia, as you know. And I'm curious because like Polestar's done some very deep cutting on the pricing for
yeah,
the
yeah,
brand new entry level version of it.
yeah.
So I'm going to guess those poor little Polestar foreigners who are selling them secondhand, mate. That was taking a bit of a bath.
Yeah, I know. It's look. There's a bit of a groove happening there where where some of the smaller, lower volume cars are struggling on this used
Mm,
market at the moment. It's simple, and Tesla's still got the lion's share,
yeah.
becoming a commodity. I've talked about it before, and it'll be part of the challenge of the next couple of years. Some Kias, again, when I'm talking low volume, just probably smallish volume on the
Mhm.
secondhand market. It just doesn't get the pricing that you would have hoped, and the depreciation is bigger. Whereas
Yeah.
Tesla's, because they've got the volume, it's almost commoditized. They're fitting into a bit of a groove on
Mm,
pricing, year mileage, and it's being normalized a bit more, so you can get a
yeah.
better outcome. It'll take
Yeah.
a while with some of the other ones, but if they keep chucking models at them, and then they're not sure, then they keep. It's the age old, if they keep discounting so heavily, they're just undercutting the used
Yeah.
market
Exactly.
completely.
Yeah.
Um,
And also new owners, it doesn't instill confidence in them because
no,
some people do change their cars every 3 to 5 years.
yeah,
And, if that's you, then, I mean, I would still say go electric for sure.
yeah.
That's the first bit of advice I give anybody, and as soon
Yeah.
as I hear the word hybrid, I just scream.
Oh, yeah.
And
No, you're in a long line of. We've had one hybrid owner so far on the show, and he slipped through the cracks because
oh,
accidentally.
it's just a poor ownership experience. You've got double
Oh,
trouble, so you got, double the maintenance, a higher maintenance
absolutely.
cost to start with. It's got a smaller battery, so your
Yeah,
experience of a battery electric vehicle,
I know.
even as a plug-in hybrid, is gonna
Absolutely.
be not that of a true electric vehicle. So, of course, the takeaway is gonna be, "Oh, I never got the range I expected. I
Yeah.
didn't. Oh, it's so expensive to service." It's like, yeah, because it was actually a pretty garbage car.
I think there's going to be some big. I'm not going to say problems, but I think there's going to be some very interesting ownership maintenance experiences with hybrids in
Mm,
future when some of those things start to go wrong because
yeah.
you're not going to be changing, batteries. And well, let's assume they last, but
Mhm,
yeah, trying to make all that work together. I don't all the individual components, no problem.
mhm,
They'll have their day, but trying to make them all work together on a long term basis, yeah, I'm terribly concerned. And the brake
mm.
wear as well as the clutch wear and everything else
Yeah,
again and
that
again and
interface,
again
that awkward interface indeed.
on it goes. So no, we're anti the marketplace. I've held strong and said just EVs and only EVs, and we're going to stick to that.
Mhm,
I've reviewed it 50 times, and each time I come back to the same conclusion.
yeah.
And we could get onto utes and trucks, but we won't start getting stuck into particular brands and their choice of utes. And anyway,
Yeah.
what else have you driven that you really like, which you think is going to stand the
Cool.
test of time?
Well, but to be honest, as much of it irks me, BYD actually do some good cars. That the Shark and stuff like that, I've never reviewed obviously because it's a
Yeah,
plug-in hybrid. But the Sea Line 7 was absolutely lovely and
yeah,
delightful and very price competitive.
yeah,
The MG S5 EV was a great car too, another very good value package. I mean, look, these cars have got heated and ventilated seats and steering, massage function, long
yeah,
range batteries, great
yeah,
build quality, all the features you could want, and for about $50,000. So just give those 2 3 years, and you're going to see them showing up in the secondhand
yeah.
market. They're going to be a steal,
I
absolute
know.
steal.
I can't wait. And it's that MG5 SEV, the one you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they've done virtually no promotion of that.
No, I
It's
don't get
it,
it either.
I don't
The
understand whether, and yet the new MG4 is coming,
Mhm,
supposedly, and they haven't, they've sort of hidden away from that as well. I encourage MG to get out in the front foot again with those
yeah,
EVs, everyone loved the MG4. It had its, sure you just got to plug Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and as soon as you get it, but
yeah,
that's fine. It was a bit more analogy,
yeah.
but perfect little town car.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a great second car for us. It would be an ideal car for us.
yeah, and for the owners like yourself of the old MG ZS EV and the new
Mm,
5, it should just be a natural swap over, right? It should just be,
yeah.
okay, we'll get you out of that and bring everybody who owns one of those and say, hey,
Mm.
we'll do you a deal on that and just keep it, because that's supposed to be the natural successor. But anyway,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm that conundrum driver or buyer rather. I like small cars, and
Yeah,
so I like SUVs, but I also
yeah,
like small cars. So that's why I like the MG ZSEV because it's a small
yeah,
compact SUV, and this is what the MG4 is.
yeah.
And there's others out there like the Insta's a tiny one. That was a fun
I,
car to review. I
did
enjoyed
you
that.
it's
That
just,
was fun.
I've seen it. I've seen them on the road. They're way smaller looking than I thought. I thought it was.
If you blow too hard, they'll fall over.
It was tiny. I knew it was small. I could just picture it.
Mm.
It was tiny.
Yeah, yeah, they are
I was
tiny.
I'm,
Just a
I'm
bit too
40.
teeny for my liking, but get the right price on those things, and I no doubts whatsoever that they
Mm,
will do well. And here's the thing too, like just how MG doesn't seem to be promoting stuff.
yeah,
Hyundai's gone kind of quiet too. Like,
yeah,
what's happened to them? The Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 6, we've got coming out soon. What's the new one? I forget. Anyway, Kia seems to have overtaken them in that space, and
yeah.
yeah.
That new one, the Alexio,
Mm,
the Hyundai Alexio, again, moving away from the Ionic name,
mm,
and yeah, that was the name that they sold everybody. Quality, everyone loved, but they,
mm,
because they're, yeah, we could go on all night, but the Ionic 5s, yeah, they put the prices up down in the US, but they put them up
mm.
here. All right,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
and they got some bad press for the
and
MCU issue, so that was not good.
yeah, there's been a few.
Yeah.
Anything else that, again, that you're moving a bit forward and then jump into some cars that maybe you're looking forward to driving this year before we wrap it up? Mm,
Yeah, sure. So I've got coming up, after much going backwards and forwards, oh my goodness, it's been crazy, the Zeekr 7X, that'll be, sometime this month, I think it
yeah,
is. I'm getting into it rather. I've
yeah,
just finished the week each in the, Model Y Performance
yeah,
and also, the Kia EV4. That's a good
yeah,
package. That's a pretty good package. Disappointing that it's got no frunk, so,
yeah.
don't
Okay.
why, and it's front wheel drive. Uh,
Is it? Oh, it's okay.
um,
Oh, it's front wheel drive. The
yeah.
Kia EV4.
Mm.
I'm not. Let me put it this way. I'm not following Kia's design language. Okay.
Oh, goodness
They've
no.
I'm not calling it anything. They just lost me. Okay. So
Yeah. Well, no spoilers, but basically my intro goes something like this: "Great car, very ugly to look at." It's because the hatchback version that's over in the UK,
yeah,
they've got a beautiful looking, version of it.
yeah,
We do not, and,
yeah,
then also the regionalisation that needs to happen for Australia. Like, I really wanna see all car makers be putting the charging port on the left-hand side of the car,
yeah,
around that C-pillar zone, ideally. Just makes charging so much easier because most of those cables, no matter where you go, are very
yeah.
short. The
I know,
YouTube
simple
on
things
the
which
right.
can some simple things on some models that just rule them out for people because they're inconvenient, right? It's as
Yeah,
simple as
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, whether it's a charger on the wrong side, no frunk.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
I think range is pretty much taken care of. We can expect good range for everybody now and
yeah,
good economy, and
yeah.
we're not so worried about power or I'm not interested in 0 to 100 or zero
Mm,
to 60. So we're starting to get down to some nice utility factors about day to day living, which I'm curious about and
mm.
interested. So
Yeah,
yeah, did
definitely.
you get a chance to get into any of the Europeans? Just were you,
What was the last European? I think probably Audis. I've been the
yeah,
Audis and BMWs quite a bit.
yeah,
They make very nice electric vehicles, to be honest.
yeah,
The Audis are a bit polarizing with their looks. I don't know what it is. They're just a bit polarizing. They look a bit old. And
yeah.
I
Again,
don't know.
I was an Audi fan, but I've gone off their style and their design language and the
Yeah.
EVs, and that they don't seem to be premium. Um,
Mm,
the BMW is certainly like 25%. I think you've seen the number of new
mm,
EVs in Australia, new BMWs in Australia, pure EV, and
yeah.
that iX3, they'll
And
sell out of that.
for
And
very good
whatever,
reason, for very
yeah,
good
and
reason,
whatever,
and
yeah,
it's a value package. Like, I'm always impressed with how much, BMW actually throws into the pack.
yeah,
So, like a BMW, my joke is that, "Oh, you like that brand new BMW over there? Okay, you want a steering wheel? Oh,
yeah. I know.
you want some wheels?
I
Oh,
know,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
seats are optional too. Seats
it's
are
Option
optional.
City,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
it's
option
optional.
city. But with the electric vehicle range, they fully load them. So they come
Yeah,
with the M Sport pack. They come with,
yeah,
the leather wrapped steering wheel, the leather
yeah,
seats, and the massaging seats, and the pilot assist, whatever it's called. The one that
yeah,
actually does everything, and it's actually AI, and so it's actually really quite good.
yeah.
So yeah, really good value package, and I can understand why people are jumping into that. And
Yeah,
the new,
apart from motorsport, BMW had probably, in my mind, I don't know if you agree, done the best job at transferring their brand and their technology-backed
mm,
brand, not just their performance, but their technology-backed
mm,
image into EVs, whereas the others, premium European brands, have really struggled, I think, to do that.
yeah,
All
exactly.
that they've ridden on the back of engineering.
Mm,
And what do you got in an EV? You've got another electric motor and another battery, and good luck to you. So,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Hey,
yeah,
thanks, Chris. Really enjoyed talking to you. I hope we can do it again sometime because
no worries,
no doubt
Roscoe.
you're going to have a whole heap more experience, and I'd love to share that with some of the viewers as well. And join us anytime. And thanks, and look forward. Where can they catch you? Just if you want to do a run through of your socials again, if you like. So,
Yeah, sure. So, basically just look for Electric Chris, you'll find me.
okay, okay. And you're in. I mean, they won't find you, but you're in Victoria.
I'm
Still, for
actually in
better or
Victoria.
worse, they didn't kick you out of the state.
No, no. Actually, you know what? I'm in Sydney on Friday because I was supposed to be going to the Everything
Yeah,
Electric show, but they deferred that to September now.
yeah.
So I'm going up there to do a charging story. So if you wanna reach out and do a story with me, just say hi, put in the comments now, and I'll respond.
Good. Thanks, Chris. We might get somebody in the next couple of days, but have a good
Awesome.
trip. I think there might be a bit of rain up here, but good luck. So
Oh, no. Okay. Can we
thanks for
charge
joining me.
cars
Good to
now?
see you and see you next time. Thank you.
Alright, cool. Thanks, Roscoe.
We've got another great story tonight about a very, very new, but perhaps old Model Y, which has already done 335,000 Ks. Now, this got listed a couple of days ago, and I just absolutely amazed. First thing that jumped to mind was, what's the battery on it like? And of course, well, we did some deep research. I sent Nathan out from Test EV. He's not sponsoring us yet. He's just a good mate, and we're right on board with battery testing. So, look, we sent him out there, and he's going to report in a bit later on what he found, because I think the results might really surprise you. But welcome, everybody. If you're watching live, thanks for joining me tonight. It is a tough night. It's a tough week. We're still enjoying maybe just getting into our cave tonight and just burying ourselves in used EV news. And look, it's for those of you watching live, who knows what's going on. For those of you catching up on Facebook or YouTube later on, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you being with us on EV Night. But hey, let's dive straight into it now. And of course, and this fantastic news came out today. And again, what are we doing reporting about new EV news on a used EV car show? Well, we can't ignore this. These new cars, these new EVs are going to be used very shortly, and this really affects the used EV market. But for the first time ever, China sourced cars have been the biggest source of cars in the country, not just EVs, but cars in general. And it's been 28 years since Japan has held that mantle in Australia. And I think this is a real big turning point. Of course, prior to that, and 28 years ago, it was only 1998. So during the 90s, it was, of course, the two big Australian manufacturers. It was the British and a few Europeans, but Japanese took care of that. Now the Chinese are coming, and we've all heard about Chinese car companies coming. We embrace them with open arms. There's going to be some wins, there's going to be some losses. There'll be some companies that are not here in the future, but what a dynamic time and an exciting time to be in the used EV market as we see these cars coming to light. Some great new cars. It's what's going to matter and what's going to count. And I was just talking to a colleague the other day, is that they can all compete, they can all try and sell cars, but it's the service, the backup, the spare parts, all those sorts of factors which are going to mean whether they're going to be successful in the long term. That's what's going to make it important as far as I'm concerned, that backup. And of course, Tesla have done it. BYD are coming. It's just a matter of who's next, who commits, and who can bring the customer service all the way through the chain. So we're going to get long battery life out of these cars. That's one of the things that's really surprised me. Took a big bet in maybe a gamble on this industry about some unknowns, and we've copped a lot of flack. All of us have, but hey, listen, um, I it's great to see some of these cars going much longer than we expected. That gives me great confidence. But the manufacturers are going to have to come along behind, make sure that their service is up to scratch on these cars. Battery electric vehicles accounted for 11.8% of the whole market. So that's the other great thing this month. Big bounce back, and probably Tom and the guys will do a deeper dive on this a bit later on. They'll go through the numbers, look at some of the preliminary numbers on the new EVs. We're just looking at the headline numbers here, and just we are really thrilled that the top line numbers jumped again to 11.8 and pure EVs. Again, that keeps flowing through to the used market. We've said it before, we'll say it again. This is a rocky road, and there's going to be many ups and downs, but I think the trend is still going to be up. We're looking forward to these cars coming to market. Very excited, and just I think again we're at a turning point now. After 28 years, Japan has overtaken China as the largest source of vehicles for the Australian market in a single month, says Mr. Weber from the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries. And they're the ones that collate most of the data, apart from a couple of exceptions like Polestar and Tesla, for new car sales. Notably, a couple of majors were down and a few others were up, and BYD is really starting to make some inroads. There's no doubt about it. I'm excited to see it. I welcome them with all open arms. It's an exciting time to be in this industry. Innovation, new brands, new models. What a great time to come in and just start exploring this. So we're right on board. Really excited to see this news. So that's our breaking news for this week, and you'll see a lot more of that. And welcome Hal, and welcome back, Joseph. How you doing? Sounds like you've been around the world for a couple of weeks. Welcome back. No doubt you've seen a couple of things in China again this time that'll keep surprising us as well. And plenty of new models on the way. But again, plenty of new models coming to the used market as well, which we're looking forward to. But again, this used model came up on our site on AmazingEV. Of course, our dedicated used EV marketplace, which proudly brings you this show. At the moment, we have built a dedicated used EV marketplace that, it's designed especially for used EV owners and buyers and sellers, just used EV people, just EVs. You can list normally for $29.95. There's a link down in the description below, and you can use the QR code, snap on that straight to the website to list if you want to. We'll help you get the word out there. It's a challenging market for car sales for used EVs, but this one cropped up in the last couple of days, and what really piqued our interest was the fact it's done 335,000 Ks. And at first I couldn't believe it. I was totally flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it. Chris Vanderstock and I both got this model, I think a 2022 Model Y, standard in white. I think he's got white interior, but pretty much exactly the same car. I'll be fascinated to see what he's done in terms of Ks, but I've done 100,000 Ks through a combination of a bit of Ubering and just general driving around the city. I've got some maintenance bits and pieces. Now, I've done 100,000 Ks in 3 years. This one's done 335,000, and just absolutely amazing. First of all, we couldn't believe it, right? Then we spoke to the owners, and they've got a Uber car rental company. So they got the cars out on the road. They're on the road almost 24/7. And so it's been doing 2,000 Ks a week for 3 years now. It's remarkable. There's a full maintenance schedule to go along with this. There's lots of things have been done to keep this car in just tip-top condition. Uber have got their high standards. They ensure that it's got to be roadworthy as well, and the interior has got to be quality. No doubt they've kept up, and it lives in Brisbane. So, of course, the next most natural thing that we did, I chatted to Nathan about this, and we said, we got to check the battery on this. This is unbelievable. I got no idea what this is going to be. I don't know whether it's going to be 50% or 60, 70, 80. This has done the equivalent of probably 12 or 13 years driving already in only 3 years. Like an average motorist does 25, maybe 20, 25, 30,000 Ks a year. 10, 12. This has done the whole life of a car, of an ICE car, used car, which, by the way, is only about 12 years on average. This has done the whole life of a car in 3 years. Maintenance, ready for a new owner now. You can argue about the price. It's up to the owner. They can put whatever price. We give price guides, but we don't dictate. It's up to them. You can argue to them all you like. But well, without further ado, we have a chat. We sent Nathan out on location, and he came back with this.
I'm testing with me and my friend, the chicken. Hi, I've come on down to test a Tesla Model Y that's done a 336,000 kilometers. We're going to come and check it out. So here we are with our vehicle. We've got about 360 k's on the clock. Our Avaloo device and the cable is now set up down the back here. Start by putting it into gear, plug in the device, but it'll look for the vehicle that we've got and it will start the test automatically. Let's see what we end up with. Alright, so after just 3 minutes, we've got a solid green light on our device. Put the vehicle into park and we can disconnect the device and then we will have ourselves a test in just seconds. So our little device has got us a 86.6% battery health on a car with 336,000 Ks. That's going to give whoever takes on this vehicle the opportunity to get great range out of a really nice car, which after a bit of a cleanup will be an absolutely fantastic family wagon for a good price. 336,000 Ks and 86.6%. What more would you want? Then I'm gone with the night.
Well, I just can't believe that. Look, it's clear Nathan has been a car salesman in a former life. He has had a long and distinguished career in car sales, but we just were amazed by this. I don't know what you guys think. This has exceeded all my expectations, and there's a lot of data out there. Everyone's posting stuff. EV batteries are lasting longer than you'd expect. This is just extraordinary. I'm just really surprised at how high this is, and there's more details on that. This is privy to the owners. Unfortunately, we haven't gone too far, but it states its average, and look, and at around about 51 kilowatt hours usable capacity. If we want to get down to it, out of an original 61, so this is just incredible. I mean, talk about second life, talk about recycling, talk about whatever you like. Talking about getting another 10 years out of this. This is our proof that these batteries are lasting a lot longer. Again, caveat, there's always problems here and there, but this is just remarkable. And I don't know what's going to happen next, but hopefully the next owner can take this car on, but without too many worries now. This is going to give them a lot more confidence. And so this is why we're so keen on these battery checks and why we're backing it and hope to see a lot more of it. Of course, that also made us think about some of the other cars out there. So I thought I'd have a cruise around the marketplace and just see how high a Ks we could find. And we did go to the dark side to have a look at this in a bit more detail, but absolutely remarkable how high, 415,000 Ks Tesla Model X. And we don't know, here's our Tesla Model Y on the opposition's website here, but we don't know the other owners. Just remarkable, 415,000 Ks on a Model X. Again, don't know what it's had done to it. Don't know what this one's been around for a while. A few Model S's, 258. No doubt they were, I think that one was a hire car for sure, old-fashioned limousine, Sydney hire car. Just, they would have done a fair number of Ks. They might, no details about whether they've got free supercharging or not. Tesla Model 3, this is the first one, up 230,000. I know there's more. I've seen them online. If you let me know, I'm not having a competition here, but let me know the highest K Model Y you've seen. If you've seen something better than the 335,000, let us know, because I'd love to see it. And these are the ones just for sale at the moment. This one's been around for a while. We've been following this one for quite some time. 225,000 Ks and $225,000. So that's a hell of a lot of Ks for a Tesla Roadster. Maybe that's not quite right. You wouldn't imagine how you could do 225,000 Ks in a Roadster. But a lot of S's there, and then a couple of threes again, 214,000. Just amazing. We'll get some more details on some battery checks here, but quite a few S's out there, and some of them have had some work. Some of them, we've got one on AmazingEV at the moment that has done, I think, just as we had a Model S, there it is, Model X, Model S, Model X, done 100, no, might have been sold. So we had one there that had done a bit more as well. But we also had a BYD Atto 3 not so long ago that had done 198,000 as an Uber. So you'd be wary. If anything's done exceptional Ks, it just stands to reason. It could be good buying. No doubt it's definitely worth a battery check as well as a mechanical check to see what else has been maintained and what else has been done. But it's probably been either a hire car or an Uber or a rental car. And we haven't seen any rental cars come through just yet. But it's probably, if these sort of cases, no doubt I'd say it's been Ubered. But just fascinating about what's happening. These cars are getting extraordinary Ks. I mean, you see Falcons, you see the old taxis and doing 500, 600,000 Ks. I had the father in the back of a cab one day. We looked over and I was in the front, and it was almost about to tick over 1 million Ks. And I don't know how many times that had been done, that Falcon, but it's sort of a thing of the past. Ubers have got to be only under 6 years old, I think. But yeah, this is really, really reassuring to me as a promoter of this business and this industry, how fantastic when people are worried about them getting past 50 and 60,000 Ks. When I'd be saying to sell an ICE car, I'm more than happy keeping the Tesla for a long time to come. So thrilled to bits, absolutely thrilled to bits with that story. And look, again, if you want to list or you want to help promote your car for sale, or you're looking to buy one, let us know. We're happy to find one. If it doesn't have to be a high K one, if you've got more confidence around the 50 and 60 mark, again, I think you can buy with confidence. And it's just a different world than it has been with the ICE cars. So, and speaking of different worlds, my favorite time of the week, we did a great show with Ross Durango last week, and his new project, and he's brought out a charging system which is like a boom. Take a look at that episode from last week, the from his company, Vehicle Charging Solutions, the vehicle vehicle charging VCS1 Mark 2 coming, pending council approval, on trial at the moment. Also, Sarah Aubrey had an article out in a couple of publications this week as well about some work that Inner West Council are doing here in Sydney about the track systems, and there's a couple of those in the UK, channels cut in track systems to accommodate off-street parking. But we got this fascinating message in the inbox this week, and good to see some people tuning in from the UK. So that was the first great point, but great content. But I can just say from the UK point of view, this is a great idea with charging situation outside of your house if you don't have a driveway. But my first house was exactly what a row of about 30 Victorian houses, and most of the time you could never get parked outside. And we get it. It's not for everybody. It's not always going to work in some of the inner city places where you don't have off-street parking. It's just one solution, perhaps not the solution, and we're all for solutions and different ideas. I said, thank you for watching. We agree it's not always the most practical solution, but it's one of the many ideas for considering for home charging. Public pole chargers are becoming popular in Australia too. And a bit of cordial banter for a change on YouTube comments. Thanks for replying. And yes, quite agree. The pole idea is great. So I believe they've got that in the UK. Just saw, and this continues to roll out in Sydney, hopefully rolling out in other cities as well, because they seem to be really popular, the pole charging situation. So don't forget also, Ross has got his EV meetup group in Sydney, the Sydney version for Sydney-siders. We're going tomorrow night. It's a business network. It's a EV hookup. Anybody interested in the EV space as a business person or just an owner or anyone that's interested in getting more involved in networking, they've got a couple of speeches. Ross is organising. It's in the city. Go to his LinkedIn site, and I've got the LinkedIn. I think I've got the LinkedIn link down below in the description. He'll be there. I'll be there. Have a chat to me, and we can catch up there. But tickets are $40, I think, for nibblies and light refreshments and cover costs. But great opportunity. And this was all timed, of course, just pre Everything Electric, which was supposed to be this weekend, if you recall. So, yeah, that never mind. Looking forward to that in September now, but that was all timed in accordingly as well. So great to see that message. So great to see that message from the UK. And also keep an eye out on Sunday night. We've just started a bit more of a cruisy EV session, on a Sunday cruisy EV session, where we're cruising all the markets across the internet for used EVs. Some of the best deals. Last week on Sunday night, Mrs. Amazing was away, so I crept onto the internet and, well, we just had a lazy session looking for a good comparison between new or used EVs at the 35K mark. So we'll be back this week. There's been a couple of new models out this week which hit that new mark. So a couple that we missed, but great comment. And this is the sort of thing I look forward to when I've reached YouTube status like this. I work from home. Enjoy your shows running in the background. Very interesting information and enjoyable to listen to. I'm looking at a used EV very soon, so this is a great tool. So that's what we're trying to achieve. Just pin it on, cruise around, look for something, drop us a message. We'll look for it as well. Different theme every week. And this week I'm going to look for a few outliers, a few unloved EVs that have probably gone through and not quite been good sellers, particularly some from the OEMs where you can expect some good service, good parts, and follow up and backup. Not some unknown brands, but just some of the ones that didn't quite hit the mark and of coming onto the used EV market now is maybe even demos. And we're going to check out some of those unloved ones and see if there's some deals amongst them. So look forward to that again, just cruising for EVs on a Sunday night. Thanks for being with us again. Thanks for joining us, guys. Joe, Tesla Wire AU, good to see you again. Thanks for joining in, guys. That's it for tonight. We'll be back Sunday night just for a cruise around the EV markets. And this week we're going to have a look at some of those unloved EVs that, well, the ones that perhaps weren't as big as sellers new and made it their way onto the used market, either as demos, but now represent some pretty good value and still maybe haven't got all the bells and whistles of some of the latest ones, but might represent some really good deals. So we're going to cruise around and have a look at some of those. I'm Roscoe. Thanks for joining us this week. Good to be with you. And thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Hal. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching.